Hey, welcome in. My name is Ethan, and welcome to my series called Game from a Game. In this series, I'll be playing normal survival Minecraft and taking inspiration from it to create my own game using a game engine called RPG in a Box. RPG in a Box is a fairly intuitive voxel-based game engine that's perfect for beginners like myself. We'll get more on this later, so we can get a full demonstration and everything. I'll be playing Minecraft to get inspiration from the game I'm making for things like settings, encounters, characters, and other story elements. On the plus side, it gives me an excuse to play one of my favorite games, so that's a win for me. What I build or what I see in Minecraft won't necessarily be what will be in the game. It's kind of like I'm someone who just happens to live near the protagonist, and I'm witnessing what's happening secondhand. So I can have my own little storyline going in Minecraft maybe, that helps me better understand what's happening in the game. Speaking of the game, I'm coming into this with some bare bone ideas just to get me started so I don't have nothing. I've decided to make a kind of classic RPG, sort of like an old school Final Fantasy or Legend of Zelda, although this could change as I'm working on the game. The game itself is going to be called Brightlandia, where we play as our protagonist in the village of Hull, which is on the outskirts of the kingdom Brightlandia. It's a mining town, so I'm thinking our protagonist could be maybe a dwarf or some kind of mining critter like a mole. I know that our protagonist is going to have a childhood friend by the name of Bond, and they've been side by side for as long as they could remember or anyone could remember, meaning they have a strong bond. And the kingdom itself is close to collapse, which invites some mysterious forces to come and invade and conquer it. This is about as far as I got in terms of ideas. I'm hoping by playing Minecraft we'll come up with something cool and something inspiring. So right off the bat, after I spawned in, I spotted a pink sheep. And these are really rare if you didn't know. They have about a 1 in 610 chance of spawning naturally. So this already gave me a good idea in the game that our character is going to run into a rare creature of some kind. I'm thinking Phoenix. And because we're in a mining town, I think that Phoenix can live somewhere deep in the mountain, which is where, kind of near where we live, or maybe we'll live in the mountain and we just come across it at some point. And yeah, so we'll walk around and see if we can't find something else. My biggest problem now was finding somewhere I thought fit the setting. So I was gonna look around for some kind of like mountain or cavern, somewhere I thought was really cool. So on the way to finding one, I was looking around for food and trying to get geared up as you do in normal survival Minecraft. Like something like this is a cool example of like scenery that I would like. So we got these sunflowers and we got the bees. I don't think maybe not like bees. What if it's something? Well, I mean, bee-like would be cool for the game. I'm not really sure what I would want, you know? Waddling around, no food, no nothing. So I think, oh, there's a guy. There's a there's a boy. I think gathering some supplies for now would be really great, just to make things easier for this aspect of the video. Time to have a heart and lost in the dark, I decided to take a moment and reset so I can cook some food and just come up with a game plan. In the dark, my mind kept going back to that phoenix. What I'm thinking is that the phoenix could give us some kind of blessing as we help them before flying over the town. With this phoenix blessing, we would be strengthened and perhaps we'll have some kind of magical ability or spiritual ability, something along those lines. I'm thinking our character ventured too deep and was also in a rut or in a bad spot as well. So meeting the phoenix was really great for both of them. Full up on hunger, I decided to descend further down, and that leads us to this next clip. This is actually really cool. Who cares about these other guys? I should have made I can't make a shield yet. I don't have iron. Surrounded by monsters, I didn't get a great chance to look at the cavern. But thinking on it, this would soon become where I would want to make my base and start basing the beginning of our story around. I only have one thing on my mind though right now, and that's running away. Okay, so would be great. I really like this. Okay, we're gonna do something with this. Dude, so cool. So what do we have so far in terms of ideas? Well, we have this really cool hanging thing. I'm thinking like maybe a chained city above a little chasm. Could be a really good visual. I don't know how I'm going to do any of this, but we're just going to get into it and see what we can do. We have our main protagonist. I think I don't want them to be like people. I want them to be critters of some kind, like animals. Doesn't have to be a critter. I don't know what I'm feeling, and this is all subject to change. If I get any feedback about maybe better ideas, I'll definitely take into consideration. I think right now I'm gonna continue exploring. We'll keep this in the back of my head, and we'll be back. We'll be back. My shiny teeth in me. Anyway, so I've been mining for a little bit, and you can tell that your boy's a little kitted out now. I got some copper on the body. I got this little spear action. I'm just gonna continue mining, and if anything comes along, I'll be sure to update you guys. My goal for the Minecraft section today is just to scout out locations that look cool, and then build what I want a whole to look like. So I didn't end up recording any of my voice audio, so from here on out in the Minecraft section, I'll just be doing some voiceovers of anything that looks cool. After a successful mining trip, I made my way back to the cavern mountain, and I decided that this is where I was going to make my home. I decided to carve into the mountain to make a temporary base, somewhere I can put all my items and have a place to rest my head. I terraformed a little around the front of my base so that I could make a farm, and this also led to an idea where I made a little lake that turned into a waterfall that goes into the cavern down below. This will really translate into my beginning map in RPG in a box, and we'll get to that a little more later. To finish up in Minecraft, I decided to start collecting some animals to have a more stable food source. And of course, I had to collect the phoenix sheep and keep it with us at all times. Humble beginnings here in Minecraft, but now I'm excited to move over to RPG in a box and start working on some new stuff. Alright, so after the Minecraft portion, I jotted some ideas down real quick, just so I have some stuff to work with. And now we're in RPG in a box. So it's kind of overwhelming to look at if you're not used to it. But I'll run through some things as we start working on them. Right now, we're going to be working on some tiles, so something for our character to walk on. So we're going to do just grass for now. And we're going to make this passable so that our character can actually walk on it. So in order to do this, we're going to make like a flat tile. So we're going to press this button right here and generate a flat tile. I was already messing with some colors, and this is what I landed on. So we're going to go ahead and press OK. You can generate more patterns, but I was okay with the pattern there. So we'll go with this. We're going to save that, and now we can make a map. For now, we're just going to do a test map until I can figure out what assets I need for the actual map for our character. Or for our game, rather. So we have our test map, and here we can make everything. So if we add that there, and then we have our character, we could actually run around using the quick play button, but we don't have anything yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make some objects and a test character for now. I think I'm going to start working on our actual character, but we'll see. I mean, everything's subject to change so for now I'm just going to make some things to make the area pretty, and then something that we can like run around with. So I'll be back after I work on some stuff. Thinking about it, I wanted to take you guys on the journey of making some things just so you can see what it's like. So here we're going to make a tree. So I think we're just going to go with a fairly kind of small tree, and then we're going to just build that up like this. I'm making quite a big tree. Okay. So we're going to increase our grid dimension just so I have some more space to work with. I don't want to make it too big, or else that could kind of mess with like our game and make it a little slow. Oh goodness. Okay, we'll work with this for now, and then we'll make it smaller as needed. All right, so we got a good base there. Let's take a look at the colors. I think for the actual tree, I want it to be kind of darker leaves, so we'll go with that. I don't quite like that color. Maybe something like this. So we're gonna paint, or we'll do this one, the paint bucket, so we can get all of that. That looks better, I think. So we're just gonna build this out for now and see what we come up with. And that's like the basic tree there, but I don't like the way that looks. So we're gonna kind of go in here. We're gonna go on voxel, so V. We're gonna get rid of, we're gonna shape this up a little bit. Just want to make it fairly even, I think. All right, there we go. We're gonna do this, and I'm just gonna work on this to make it a little more round. But we don't want it too boxy. I want it to look uneven and, you know, more natural. I don't want it to look so artificial. And we're gonna go through the on the trunk too and kind of mess with that. There we go. Got something going here, and I want a smaller top here. We're gonna build some arms and I think some roots just so it looks like an actual tree. And we're gonna make I think a couple of these just so we have some variation and it's not all same, you know? I don't want it to look all the same in the game. Variation is nice, you know? So that's a better shape now. We're gonna make this a little smaller on the bottom as well. Go. Okay, I'm more happy with that. Let's get rid of some of this corner. The corners more. There we go. Saw that. We messed with the tree a little bit. I'm working a little fast because I'm more used to it, but what I was doing was I was pressing Alt so I can take the same color here. I'll try to explain things as I go along, but I'll obviously forget things as I'm just getting into a zone. So, in an effort to make it look less boxy as well, we're going to take away the corners here just to give it some depth. There we go. A little better. Let's make some branches now. I don't know how that's going to look. We'll just build out, build out a little something here. Maybe too far. Yeah, something like that, I think. And just to, you know, there we go. Make it a little uneven. We don't want it all so uniform. There we go. And we're gonna kind of bring that down, give it some thickness to the trunk. We're gonna go through this also and add some different colorations. I'll show you how we do that. Yeah, the name of the game for me is just making it look kind of funky. I don't like things to look so uniform in my games. Let's see, is that kind of messing up now? Kinda. Kind of too much. We're gonna go around and kind of debulk this a little bit. I don't want it going so far down. Not too bad now. Yeah, let's get rid of some of this. And we're gonna add some roots too, I think, just to kind of add some interest to the model. I don't want that to go so far. It's kind of a weird looking tree. I'm gonna mess with it and I'll come back to you with what I come up with. All right, I think I came up with something. Gave it some roots. I kind of took out the leaves a little further. I'm not hating it. We can always change it later, but for now, I think this is good. I'm gonna save so I don't lose it. All right, so now what I think we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of go through and we're gonna change up some other colors. So I selected all the leaves and I'm gonna go back to where we made that tile and we're gonna apply noise to selected voxels. As you can see here, we can generate and it'll add different colors to the leaves. I think that was like perfect what I wanted actually. We're gonna go ahead and say okay. It's very subtle, but you can see that there's some different colors there, which is kind of what I want. I don't want it to be so all over the place. So we're going to do the same thing here with the trunk. And to me, this is just adding some visual interest to the model. There we go. Yeah, okay. I like that. So we're going to save that. I think we're going to keep it pretty static, so I'm not going to add any animations to it, as you can see at the bottom here. So if I wanted to, I could duplicate the current frame, and we could like mess around with that, and then you can see it would go back and forth. So if I were to add just something so you can see for later, add this, and then you can go between the frames, and it would animate like that in the game if I so chose to do that. But for right now, we're just gonna go with the single frame, and that's it for the tree. So we have a tree. What I like to do with trees is I'm going to add an effect to it. So I'm going to go to the effect editor and I'm going to make an effect called leaves falling. All right. So we got all this going on and there's a lot. I'm still not very good with the effects, but I'm going to make it so it's like a few leaves coming down and they're kind of go out toward the sides. So first things first here is I'm going to slow down the speed to 0.4. That's still too fast for me. So maybe let's take that down because I don't want too many. All right, maybe 0.2, 0.1. Yeah, that feels more like leaves falling now. So the particle amount, I think I'm going to keep it as that. We have the lifetime here, which is how long the particles will actually show up on the map or in game. We're going to keep it at a second. The emission shape is just talking about where the effect is going to come from. So if I were to do it from a box, it would be a little more random and within a set area. I don't like how it's going up like that. So we're actually going to mess with the gravity. I want it to go straight down, so I'm going to get rid of this Z. Let's see what that does. Okay, they're still going up. So we might want to add potentially more gravity. So we're going to do -12. And that's kind of falling more like how I want it to now. But I don't like how it's going to the side. We're going to change this initial velocity. I think that's what's making it go out to the side. There we go. Hey, okay. And we can mess with more of this later, but for the sake of the leaves, we don't really need to do much more. The particle shape, I'm okay with the cube, I think. Or we can do a billboard, so it's like that. I could also add an image to it, but we're gonna keep it as cubes for now because I like the look of it. And we're gonna go and grab that same green that we've been using. So eyedropper tool, we're gonna grab this. Okay, now we're gonna make the colors match. I just copied the same thing, okay. All right, so copy, and we're gonna go here and paste that. And I want it to be both of those green. So it should look like that. What are we thinking? I don't know, I still want it to fall faster. I don't know if I can make it like kind of wave, you know? I'll mess with it and I'll come back to you with the final effect. All right, I think I'm happy with this. So what I did here was I changed the gravity to -14 and I changed the initial velocity, which is what was making it go up a little bit. So now it just feels like it's dropping. we're gonna go back to our tree and we're gonna add an effect here. Or we're gonna do an attachment is what this is called, an attach point. We'll just do this at the top and we're gonna call this effect. We're gonna go to this little thing right here. And we're gonna add the effect of the leaves falling. And we're gonna automatically attach this effect in game. It only looks so messed up right now because I have to close the model and go back in. So let's take a look at that. Oops. I think it's because I have that open and this open. Try it out now. There we go. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna lower this down. So it's more so falling from the middle. There we go. I think I want it to go to the side a little more. So we're gonna go back to the effects. And instead of just dropping straight down, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some gravity, both in the X and the Y plane. So that should make it fall off to the side more instead of just down, you feel? And we'll see that once we get into the map. So that's our tree. I think it's good enough for now. Since I showed you guys how to make the tree, I'm just going to really quickly make this grass model. And then what we're going to do after I make it here is I'm going to animate it so that it's not so static in the game. So we got some grass now. And what we're going to do is from the front here is we're going to copy this same thing. And we're going to make it slowly sway. So we're going to go from like everything from there. Make this a bit bigger. There we go. Should be good enough. That's number 2. Number 3, we're going to go up again, take all these, and we're going to move it to the right. And I don't want it to go too far. So that's about as far as I want it to go. So it'd be like that. Basically. I don't think I want it to go the other way. Or let's try it. So I'm going to duplicate this again. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move it around so that it looks like it's all one uniform motion. So we're going to go this way. And then one more up. Keep it all kind of the same direction. So once I actually make the animation, it should look something like this. And I want it at that speed too. So to keep it kind of this slower on the ends, I'm gonna increase the the time it spends on that frame. So let's make an animation here. We're gonna make it default. I'm gonna have this ping pong, so it's gonna go from 1 to 5 and then back from 5 to 1. And we want this kind of slow, so we'll do 6 frames per second. Let's take a look at how that looks. It's a little quick for my liking. We're gonna go here onto the model properties, into the animation. We're gonna slow that down, 4 frames per second. Let's take a look. Yeah, okay. I'm liking that. I think if I go just a hair slower. Yeah, okay. What are we thinking? We'll save that for now. And let's add this into our test map just so you guys can see. Ooh, that's a very different green. You know what? I want it to be more similar to our grass. So all we're gonna do here, we're gonna pick that one. Why not? And then we're gonna take all of this and bam. Let's actually apply some noise since we've already... Oh, you know what? Yeah. I have to go through each one now and make it like that. So I'll do that and I'll be right back. Yeah, hot tip for you guys. If you're ever making animations, make sure you have it set exactly how you want it to look before you start messing with everything, or else you have to do it for every frame. Anyway, so we have our grass now. We're just going to add that little randomly to our test map. You'll notice that there's these green lines, and that's our navigation. And because I put those down like that, it's actually going to get rid of the nav lines from there. So we're just going to re-add that so we can walk on those tiles. Now that I think about it, we have two different forms of movement. We have grid-based and we have free movement. So if we go here to mechanics, we'll see the grid movement. We're going to try to make free movement for now. The game I found works best in grid if you're scripting, but I think for the most part, we're going to try to do free movement and see how that feels. And again, this tree is kind of out of place, so we're going to go back through and we're going to add our color. Okay, we'll just, there we go. Close enough for now. Gonna fill it in. There we go. You know, we don't have to be perfect with these. And now we're gonna have to go back through our leaves and make that a different color for the effect. So we're just gonna fill those back in. I'm bringing you guys along for the whole process here, just so you can see how little mistakes can build up and how you can fix them. You know, it's no big deal. So we'll go back here. We'll change the colors. I didn't save the color. Okay. Whatever. There we go. And there we go. So once we add that to our map editor, we can change the size here by pressing shift and scrolling the wheel. Or you can actually click onto the entity itself and then change the scale. We're just going to keep it as is. It kind of took up a lot of space there because it's so big. So we're going to fill some of this back in. I'm sure there's different ways to do this, but this is the way I found works for me. And since this is free movement, that might actually not matter too much. So there we go. We have our little test map. And now we're going to make our test character for now. So this is our test character. We're going to make a very basic model. So just like always, I'm just going to start making a model here. I started with an orange color, and while I was putting my voxels down, it started looking like a goldfish, so I leaned into that. So we'll see here that I'm going to have this little goldfish guy, and we'll see just what I do with him later. So I'm liking the model. But we're going to notice once I put him in the game, it's going to look a little weird. So we're going to work on some... We're going to be working on some animations for him, but just so you guys can see what it looks in the game. Now, if I were to press quick play right now, it wouldn't actually... Well, it might do something, but what we're going to do here is we have to make a script for our startup. Because there's no startup script, the game doesn't know what to do initially. So here we're going to load map. Where is it? So this is the scripting editor. It has a visual-based scripting, so you can see here that we can load map, and that'll go into this box site code, and that's like the actual coding part. But it's nice because I don't really know how to code, so I can use the visual part. So we're just going to load the map, and that's it for now. Because we set the player character as test, that'll be our test guy there. And we're going to set the startup script as startup. And some easier things for me, just as we're playing around, is I'm going to turn off the main menu. So it's just going to drop us straight into the game. So now, if I press quick play here, it's going to start up the game. And here we are. Here's our test guy. And here's our game. So, oh. I can't actually walk on the grass. I think I have to mess around with the collision. But as you can see, our character looks pretty funky here. Just like a straight line, and there's no feeling or anything. So we're going to add some animations here. Ooh. That was loud. All right. So let's make some animations. So my kind of like big three for my animations are idle, walk, and interact. Oh, sorry, idle, walk, and speak. Those are my big three for like NPCs and stuff. So we're going to work on the idle first. So I didn't need to do that, but we've set it and we'll mess around with it later. So for my idle, So this is when you're not doing anything, the character is going to default to this animation. So we're just going to make him bounce a little bit. So for this first frame, we go like this. And I like to make the eyes close as he's kind of falling down. Oop. We'll do that. And we're gonna duplicate that frame. And this is where I like to make, so I like to make him bounce once, and then everything else I'm gonna make kind of go down. So it feels like he's a little bouncy, you know? We're gonna actually close his eyes all the way now. So it should look like that. Let's go to the model properties, and we're gonna go to the animation. We're gonna go idle is 1 through 3, and it's gonna ping pong. Let's take a look at that. There we go. That's our idle animation. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna make the other animations, but I like to add some wait time here to increase the duration so it feels like he stops a little more. So let's increase that to 5, I think. There you go. There's our guy. So we're just bringing some life to the character. So now we're gonna do some walking. So let's go. He's taking a big step. Gonna kick that leg out. Maybe we'll do a little more. We're also gonna bring this one back a little bit. So it's gonna be, oh, let's bring this one back also on this one. Then from here, we're gonna bring that further back. And I think at the end, we're gonna have him do a little bounce. Bam. I'm gonna snag this one. And don't forget to change that back to 1. So you're gonna see that I kind of do this backwards. That's just the easier way for me to think. So now I'm sure you're thinking that I have to remake all the animations by walking the other way. But what we're gonna do here, we're gonna duplicate. I'm gonna bring that to the end, and we're gonna press this flip model horizontally. So now it's just flip. Let's do that with the rest of the animation. And now we're gonna add another animation for the walk. So that was 4 through 10, and he's gonna ping pong between the 4th frame and the 10th frame. For the speed, I like to up that a little bit, so we'll see how that looks. I think at the end here, I'm also gonna droop this down. See how that looks. I can never do this correctly the first time. I gotta... Alright, let's take a look at how that looks. You don't really notice it. And I think I'm gonna add a bit of a delay at the end here. Not too long though. Let's try 3. That's a little too long. We're gonna change that to 2. Just so you can kind of... It feels like it has depth and he's like walking. Let's save that before we lose everything. And then I want to make the speaking animation. And that's probably all we need for now. We can always make more. And we can also make custom animations. If we ever get to that, I'll show you. So let's make him speak real quick. So we're going to steal this center frame. It's really easy. Mouth open, Mouth. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do a mouth closed here. We're just gonna bring that up. Whoop. That's it. So then let's create the speak animation. And it doesn't really matter the type of animation here. There's loop, ping pong, once, clamp, and ping pong once. We can go over those at a different time, but for now we're just gonna keep that as ping pong. Now, he kind of talks a little fast, so let's slow that down. Maybe like 4 frames per second. There we go. And this is what I do for all of my characters. I give them those 3 animations, and then I add on to them as I need to. Since this isn't our main character, he's probably going to become like a side NPC or something. So, here we go. There's the animation of the idol, and you can see he's walking. So, this is what it looks like in the game. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to work on our actual character and see if we like it. So I'm going to make that on my own, and then I'll come back to you guys. So I'll be back soon. Okay, so I kind of landed on this for now. I might change the hair color as well. Trying to give her like this high pony look. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. You can see the how she looked before. I think this gives more visual, like a different kind of look, you know. So we're gonna chill with this, and before I actually make more of her animations, we'll see what I think later or what you guys think. But for now, we have the start of a game. So we didn't really do too much today. Just in Minecraft, we made some normal starts. We made a normal start. We made some farms, we made some stuff. Here we made a test map, and we have our test character and our main character here. Made some effects. Yeah, I mean, I might go through and make a couple more critters or something just to fill up the world, and then we're gonna start making her house. It's gonna be like what it looked like in Minecraft, so it's gonna have like a little waterfall going off to the side, and she's gonna live on the side of a mountain. So I'll start working on those assets, but I've given you the first look as to what the game making process looks like. So once I make some more progress, I'll come back to you guys later, and then we'll see where we're at. All right. So I made a couple more assets for the mountain. We got some walls, and then we have an entrance, and then I just have a full block to kind of fill in the space. So to make our main house, like the outside of it, we're gonna, oops. First gonna just lay down a nice carpet of grass tiles. What I want to do here is I'm just gonna sketch out like a shape of like a mountain entrance. So this is where we would go in and out. And we can make this bigger or smaller as we... Oh, important. We're going to want to make this one up or else we'll be overriding the tile that we're on already. So we're going to do that again. I'm going to do that. And it looks funky now, but once I start adding these, right? I think that looks a little better. Maybe we'll make a corner one just so we can fill in all that space. But this is just for the outside. We're going to try to make it so that we cover up like all of this on the top. So it'll be like one cohesive shape. And I have this alt one just to add some like, again, some visual interest. Maybe we get rid of that, maybe not. I think I like it without it. So we're just going to go like that for now. And all I did here was I put down a block and I just erased a bunch of tiles on the front, and then I added some noise to the model. So what I'm going to do here real quick is I'm going to make a corner just to fill in those spaces here. I don't know if it really matters, but I know that it's there, so I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, so we're going to take that corner piece and we're just going to, like that. Right here, we're just going to add a little more. I wonder if I need to go through, and as we can see, there's a little gap here. So we're just gonna, just like that. Boom. And that should look just fine there. Okay. So, like as we're running around, I think we're gonna keep it so that when we're running around, it's gonna look from this angle. So we're gonna build with that in mind. So let's just put some more stuff here. And there's our entrance. It's a little narrow, but hey, it is what it is. So that's our mountain. I started thinking about it, and maybe instead of this character that we've been making, we could make this guy, build him up a bit and make him our main character. Maybe instead of such an orange goldfish, just a different fish guy. Of course, we can play around with that and see what we like. But like he could be like a fish guy living here, and he has this water fountain, or his lake, or pond, or what have you. And that's why he lives on his own, as opposed to like maybe it is just a town full of dwarves, but he's a fish person, so they don't like him as much. Could justify why he's living alone, but or she, whatever. But we'll see if we like that. So I just want to add some more space here. I want to do single and like just draw out some more shapes. Make it so it's not so boxy and square, and then we're going to fill that in. And I'll get working on the water later. We'll probably make it like a bit of a darker, murkier water, not so clean looking. I'll put it off to the side like we have in Minecraft as well, which will waterfall, or at least look like it's waterfalling off to this side. And on this side, we'll have some forest. There we go. Here's our little mountain. That's bugging me. Make it even there. Just so I'm gonna go make some water and we'll add it there. Maybe we should add some trees first. I want them to look a little bigger. What I'm gonna do here is randomize the rotation so they're not all the same side or way. We'll add some grass up in here like that. We'll keep this side open for the river. I'm gonna go back and try to mess around with the object collision for the grass to see if we can fix that. But if I can't, then we'll just figure it out from there. I'll come back to you guys later once after I made the water and figured out this collision. Okay, so what I've done here is I've actually borrowed this from a different project, which I also believe I borrowed from the community. You can import assets from the community. So in order to make this look like water, so this is what we have so far. This is what it would look like in game. We'd want this to look a little more see-through. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this color and we're going to add it to transparent colors. And we're just going to mess around with the slider until it looks like what we want. Let's take a look at just this main water first. And that's pretty good. We're going to go down a little bit more. I want it to be a little more see-through. A little too see-through. And then we're also going to do that with the other blue that we see there. We'll get to that. So I don't want it to be so see-through. I want it to be like a little solid. Okay, I think that's closer. So what we're going to do here is we're also going to pick that one. Oop. We're going to want to change... Oh, these are all different colors. I didn't... Okay, so we have the water here, and I've actually borrowed this from the import asset button up here. So I believe it was the creator, Justin Arnold, who made this. So I just searched up water, and here we go. I just changed it to be a color I liked more. So I messed around with it so some of our colors would be more transparent. So when you look at it in the game, it looks more like this. It looks like water flowing. So what we're going to do now that we have that is we're going to add that. So the thing with the water as it is now is we have to go down by 3 tiles, and we don't want this to be rotating. So I think what we'll do here is we'll get rid of all of these tiles. And we'll add that water coming in just like this. I think we'll make it like a little sandy so you can see it coming through. We'll come in like this and maybe a little like that. It'll be like a lake or like a river coming through. On the other side, we'll put our grass. Just like so. Oh, an important thing here that I forgot, I think for optimization, is I want to turn off the navigation so that it doesn't waste resources in our map. So just to make it look, there we go, something like that maybe. We'll leave this kind of open-ended up here just to make it seem like there's still more coming. We'll leave it like that. So there's our river, and because we don't care, we're just gonna add, we don't care about the nav, we can just add this a little. Oh, this one I do want to be rotating. You know, it's looking very drab. I might enhance that color a little bit. It might be a little too dark for me. Alright, so I changed the colors. I didn't like how like off green it was, so I made it a more vibrant green. I also made these dirt paths around the river, and I added this like transitional piece from the grass to the dirt, so it's not such a hard straight line. think that's our first little area, like the bare bones of it done. We can go back through later, but I think this is a good stopping point. So, yeah. And we've reached the conclusion of episode 1. I wanted to thank you for spending some time with me today. I apologize for the long run time. I was just excited to show you what was going on, and I didn't want you to be so lost. Please let me know what you liked and what you didn't like in the comments below. Did you want to see some more Minecraft? Did you want to see more of what I'm doing in RPG in a Box, or maybe less? Let me know. I really appreciate you for spending some time with me today, and I will see you next time. Bye. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you see. Please.